and really carries this game as well. But like I was saying in that draft, the Lady Shen is not going to be the one that's going to be taking a lot of gold going into this game against Kagendra. But Kagendra has such a feisty roster right now with the Lung, with the Orgren, with the Haino as well, Zhongfei with the Engage, and even now fleshing that out with the Luna. So the Orgren goes up into the Clash lane, and Haino is going to be building those magic damage items.
Yeah, so really nice here. I think the Musashi is kind of... everyone knows that Musashi is a really good counter to Orgren with that lockdown. So they're like, okay, we don't want to put this Orgren in the jungle because we don't want it to really come up against CT Boy and the Musashi because it's going to be a counter pick. So let's flex that Orgren. Let's put that in the Clash lane. Haino, as we've seen, has been played a lot more in the mid lane as more of a carry rather than a tank. So that flexibility of putting Haino in the mid lane. And now we see more of a carry jungler in the end for Ruwa in the jungle. So it's going to be super interesting to see how they adapt in terms of that flexibility. But again, it all comes down to the game itself. It all comes down to the rotations around the map, as we've seen already from the first 2 games. But in terms of Group A, this is a really important game. If Kagendra lose this, they're pretty much out. I think it's going to be very difficult for them to actually come back. They do still have 2 games after this as well, but I feel like for Kagendra, sorry, this is a must-win for them to keep the momentum. But at the same time, Vitality as well, they still need to win this as well. They're against Team Secret and Impunity afterwards. Team Secret is going to be definitely a bit of a struggle game for them. Impunity maybe is going to be a bit of a 50-50. So even them as well, it's also a must-win. So it's a super important game in this Group A.
I think we should just ditch the super important narrative. It just seems to be every game.
Every game's important.
Super important. Super important. It's just like every game is pretty much, it's got some weight behind it. It's all got some pretty hefty consequences if you lose. If you win, it's all about maintaining that momentum for in day 2, which obviously you're going to be wanting the most.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Kagendra still has a few other games as well we're going to be seeing on the A stream as well. So if they want their comeback to start, it has to start now as well. And as you mentioned, I really like the look of their draft as well. I think that flexibility in the draft is such a good thing to have in a draft. You know, being able to pick Orgren on the first rotation in the draft and say to Team Vitality, like, hey, you have to guess where the Orgren's going. Then they pick Haino, and then they're like, hey, now you have to try and guess where Haino's going. And in the end, they pick the Luna, and Vitality have to pick the whole composition before Kagendra actually finished them off in the end. But we'll have to see if that does make the difference this time around.
Yeah, I'm really a little bit worried here about the Derengion against the Lung. We've seen quite a few times that this matchup is happening so far within the EWC Midseason Invitational. But it's just because how much aggression Lung has. He has that ultimate that is able to engage, disengage. If you don't want to get targeted, you just go straight up to the sky and become a dragon, which most people probably wish they could do in real life. But you can if you play Lung. If you main Lung, you can make that as much as a realistic expectation than you would normally have if you weren't playing Honor of Kings. But already we're seeing a very slow-paced beginning match on this Vitality and Kagendra, because the past 2 games have been pretty aggressive.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're seeing a lot of priority onto this bot side. You're seeing the Mozu and the Zhongfei really prioritizing this bot side. There's not that much rotation this game by the supports. We normally see the Zhongfei and the Mozu roaming a lot. But I think there's so much priority on this farm lane matchup, 0-0 against Shanks, 2 of the main carries for both of these rosters. So making sure that they have a stable enough lane, making sure they don't get caught out. We know how much burst damage Long can do. The Renji in the early game, not that strong in terms of damage potential, but does have that utility in the end once he gets a few items, and does have to stun as well with his ultimate. But you're seeing so much priority on this bot side. And meanwhile, we're seeing Orgren. I think the real kind of benefit of playing this Orgren in the top lane means that you can get that push priority. You're seeing 90 at the moment has to play super aggressive underneath the tower, which means that Hans can actually look to try and roam around, which as you can see he's doing at the moment. He's just rotating around, trying to get a little bit of vision around the map because he has that pushing priority in the lane.
And because they have that priority in the Clash lane as well, Wero is able to just go around, as we saw earlier on, that Luna was helping herself to Musashi's jungle camps as well. So And again, we're seeing a little bit more of a free roaming here. Weero is actually being very confident with these roams. He's already sitting in that brush there, hoping that they can kind of get a push or see if Benji and Shanks overextend. But it doesn't look like quite that much, but it could be. Oh, Benji's having to force the flash out of there, but is it going to be enough? No! First blood goes over to Kagendra. Has Kin cursed us?
Oh, no, don't say that. No, the Kin curse is coming. I can already feel it burning in my bones right now. Normally, I'm the caster curse at the end. I remember some of the Team Vitality members were like, wait, you're casting our game? That's not a good thing. You're going to cast the curse last, but I feel like Kin's the one today. But yeah, really, really nice play. Benji, a little bit of an overstep there, but really nice there for Ruwa to be, kind of sit in the jungle, kind of wait for the rest of the team to be able to be there. You have to set up potential as well from the Xiangfei, so really smart in the end. And you're seeing at the moment the kind of benefit the Xiangfei has. We've seen a lot of Xiangfeis also taking smite, which allows you to take that double smite potential with Luna and also Xiangfei. It means that you can prioritize these objectives a lot more. The double smite means you can do a lot of damage in very quick succession if you have the right communication, but also allows you to secure the likes of the bird right at the bottom of the map as well. That can also be secured, and everything else around the map, because Xiangfei is a hero that doesn't need that much in terms of 90
flashy
play.
CC into the wall though. Hello. I was about to say, my next thought was going to be 90 feels really restricted into that clash lane, because obviously Orgrim puts those things, his little cast over bridges, the little spiritual bridges I'm going to call them, and then kind of follows him out with that other ability that can slow him as well. So seeing that, I was like, maybe 90's just been trapped into that clash lane, but right now it's not looking like it's making much difference in the clash lane, but down into the farm lane, it's a little bit more of a different telltale. It's a 3v1 engage onto Benji. That is a double kill going over to 0-0, and currently, that's not good.
Yeah, Kagendra again doing really, really well. Really smart tower dive from Kagendra. This dual lane at the moment is performing incredibly well. Ruwa also getting a lot of priority. I think Kagendra have definitely done their homework against Team Vitality. They know that Shanks is the main carry. They know that Team Vitality like to put a lot of resources onto Shanks. So understanding that, Ruwa spent a lot of time in this bottom side going for the tower dive as well. We mentioned yesterday in our cast as well, Long is such a great hero to be able to tower dive, because he can take that tower aggro, he can take a couple of tower shots, and then he can use the ultimate to escape as well, as we see the end of that. A double kill over to Long this early on is going to be extremely scary to deal with for Vitality.
Very, very crucial, and we're seeing that Highland can't play that carry role either, because he's normally on the Shangguan, he's normally on the Mai Shiranui, so being on the Lady Shen, you are playing a little bit more of a backseat, and you can kind of see that that's the draft here at the drafting part for Team Vitality. I think that's where it kind of started to sort of be a bit of a plodding way into an early grave, it seems. But so far, they are still keeping into it. The gold lead is not too far between the two teams as well. It's just that they need to start getting some priority in these lanes. We saw Benji being able to get a kill over to Team Vitality as well, but Dharma just trying to get some CC onto these squishier heroes on the side of Kagendra. It's almost like it's going to be a really hard feat for them, because if you think about it, if Dharma goes in and then Xiangfei just pushes him out, that's kind of like they've got no other way of getting back in there unless the Motsu comes through with a long range engage first, gets that stun off, then Dharma gets in. That's the only way I can see this working.
Yeah, for sure. I think that there's a really good point to bring up. There's a lot of disengage on the side of Kagendra in this game. You know, like Xiangfei, but Dharma, 90 again, flashing in, gets the kill onto 0-0 on the Long, and 90 coming up absolutely huge on this Dharma so far. That's twice now he's been able to use that flash ultimate to pin someone against the wall, and that's the prize factor that Dharma brings, which is one of the reasons why I love this hero.
Yeah.
You know, it's not really picked as much as the Elaine or the Mayim, but just for that playmaking potential with the ultimate, it's such a huge win condition here for Vitality.
I mean, you just brought up two names that I completely forgot about there. I was like, I haven't seen them all today, which is pretty much a different story from yesterday, because they have been banned pretty heavily here. But Weero may be getting caught out here as the T1 mid lane has fallen. He has to retreat a little bit further than he did a few moments ago, but he is able to get out of there. But it looks like Haino is trying to focus here, so Kagendra going for those side lanes, priorities again, because they've pushed both the clash lane, both the farm lane. But I do have to give it to Vitality. They have got that very important T1 in the mid lane, which means they can try and overstep now, try and get a few more ganks.
Yeah, so you can see Masashi going for a more tank build this time around with the Cape Beam build as the first item. Playing more of the tank role, which is what we mentioned. You know, CT Boy has definitely been playing more of a tank role for this team, giving more gold over to the likes of Highland if he plays Assassins or even Shanks this time around. But as you mentioned, you know, Highland is kind of there for the utility, there for the wave clear, there for kind of the burst damage in terms of a mage, not playing that assassin this time around. But I think all eyes on this game now has to be on 90 to see if he can make the plays on the Dharma onto 0-0, because 0-0 has such a big lead at the moment on long in terms of kills, being able to get a huge advantage, and they need to make sure they use that as well in this game.
Yeah, we see that Wero made his way up to the Clash lane just to kind of put a bit more of a pressure up there whilst giving it over the Tyrants. So again, we could be seeing a little bit more of an output onto the side of Team Vitality. But really, that damage is only going to be coming from either the Dharma or the Shanks right now. But it could potentially come through on Highland, but as we've already said in the broadcast, that Highland's not going to be the priority of giving that gold over. It is definitely heavily reliant on Shanks just to get gold, get that itemization going. But so far, it's pretty much neck and neck. Kagendra looked like they had a much better earlier game into that 4-minute mark. Now, it's kind of taking that same role as Boom Esports' first game, where it's kind of slowing down the pace, because I think of the not thinking that they're going to lose that T1 mid turret so early is probably put a bump in the road for them.
No, 100%. I totally agree. I think Kagendra already have performed a lot better than what we saw yesterday. I think overall they've been playing a lot more safer. They've also been getting a lot more rotations in the early game, especially for the jungler, being able to get that extra early advantage. Both teams now trying to prioritize this Tyrant for the extra damage. Kagendra, a little bit split at the moment, but we have to wait for that engage from 90. Is it going to come out, or are they just going to give up this objective? It looks like they're just going to back off for now. They're going to give up this objective. Vitality don't feel confident enough that they're going to be able to take this Tyrant away.
Yeah, I mean, on the side of Kagendra, they're all a little bit too split, so for 90 to try and get in here, it's going to be hard, but you can see him rotating to the back line here. We saw that Senko was pretty much nicely set up by that wall. We do see the Peacemaker coming through from the Motsu there, but there was no follow-up because they decided to disengage, get Masashi that Azure Golem, and maybe play for this Overlord, because this could put them back into the game, especially these side lanes right now. Just trying to get another T, get the first T2 down, just means that if we could start seeing some split pushes from the side of Team Vitality, we could still see a victory for them.
One thing I want to note as well with the itemizations that we can see on screen as well, I've been seeing this a lot, but the support items for both Benji and Zhongfei going for the Radiance in terms of vision, but looks like a fight might be starting. 90 use the ultimate already. The Overlord is going to be taken, but they're looking to try and Kagendra get an engage, and Vitality are running for the wings.
Yep, ready for the wings. Highland gets taken down early in the engage, and Kagendra is going to settle at that. They do lose the Overlord, which was probably a great succession for 90, just being able to keep 0-0 off of that object there. So keeping the Dragon at bay, but they do lose the T1 turret as well. So this could be crucial for Kagendra to get back into this lane priority plays. And again, they are going to take that T2 with ease. Kagendra having a fantastic brawl there, taking out the Highland, taking down T1 and T2 in the mid lane.
Yeah, objective goes over to Vitality, but they lose 2 mid lane towers, not just 1, but 2 mid lane towers, showing how strong Long is at taking towers. But go back to my original point quickly, but yeah, Radiance support items being picked for both the Zhongfei and the Benji means that you get that extra vision. You know, we were talking about in the last game about how vision is so important, about trying to make sure that you don't get caught in bushes. Thanks to these support items, the Mozi and the Zhongfei are building, you get that big massive AoE vision around you that you'll be able to activate after every few seconds. And that's going to be really big at trying to set up plays for both these teams, whether it's the Zhongfei engaging, whether it's Mozi trying to get vision to try and land these long-range stuns. And it's an adaptation that I've seen quite a lot in the mid-season. We didn't see it too much in Season 2 Invitational, but in this mid-season, these teams are definitely prioritizing vision more than anything else.
Yeah, it's also used for like a counter engage as well, because they got the likes of the Dharma, so it makes sense for Zhongfei to take it, because we can see Dharma as a very much sit in the bush kind of guy. But then at the same time, we have Wero on the Luna, which we know from previous matches. Luna generally sits in those bushes before those neutral objectives. So again, it's a huge counter engage for themselves, for support to give themselves a little bit more functionality within this fight. But it's looking pretty much like a stalemate so far going into the 14-minute mark. The goal difference is not that far apart. It's only 2K difference, which is not a lot at all. And if you look in terms of level, there's just not much disparity in that option as well, because they're just very equal in this game, which going into it, we thought Vitality would maybe get a stomp on their hands with Kagendra already sitting at 0-2 right now.
Oh, this is what happens in the best of one. You know, anything can happen in the best of one. And Masashi trying to use the ultimate on the backline. Long using the ultimate to disengage. Is just going to escape in there. So just a trade of ultimates in the end. As you mentioned, pretty much a stalemate at the moment. Both teams not willing to take any risks. Both teams just trying to take as much farm as possible. Try and get the items that they need towards these next objectives. And speaking of the objectives, that Shadow Tyrant is going to be spawning now as well, which is going to be a huge fight for these two teams. But again, Kagendra are the first ones to this objective. They're the ones that have the control over this objective. But Vitality are like, okay, we need to step in and we need to make our mark on this Tyrant. And it's going to be a huge fight.
Yep, Shadow Tyrant is looking pretty low.
Stolen!
With the steal, the crucial kill theft comes through. But not only that, Stu, it is crucial crowd control, double kill, triple kill over to the Ogryn as well. This could be the end for Vitality. They have the mid lane. They are at the higher ground. Sorry, Stu, what is going on? Kagendra beating Team Vitality. We did not think this was going to happen.
The miracle run is still alive for Kagendra. 1 down, 2 to go. Kagendra beating Team Vitality, making this an extremely exciting and spicy group going into the rest of today.
Yep, and that is probably the